Hey, what's up everyone? It's me Pratima. So this is the new Samsung Galaxy Watch 7. It's the usual expected upgrade to last year's Watch 6, and yes, that might not sound at all exciting for a Samsung smartwatch. In fact, pretty much everyone is talking about the more expensive Galaxy Watch Ultra. But after using the Galaxy Watch 7 for about a month now, I really believe this is the best Samsung smartwatch for most of the folks out there. Because compared to the past few generations of Galaxy smartwatches, this guy isn't just an iterative upgrade that you might think it is, so let's talk about it. Alright, so if you remember, the one complaint I had with every Samsung smartwatch I have used is that they don't feel smooth enough. The occasional lags and delays would painfully remind me of how underpowered Samsung's custom Exynos chips are. But the Watch 7's new Exynos W1000 chip is easily one of the best things about it. Everything just appears smoother and more responsive. Now, I am still not convinced that the W1000 has a 3 times faster CPU like Samsung claims, but yeah, this is the first Galaxy Watch that actually feels snappy to keep up with everything I do. Apart from a faster processor, the Watch 7 bumps the internal storage from 16 gigs to 32 gigs, so that's good to see as well. The other interesting thing about the Exynos W1000 is that it's really power efficient. This is the only smartwatch chip right now fabricated under a more efficient 3nm process. The chip itself is apparently 30% more power efficient, whereas the new Wear OS 5 has some efficiency gains when recording workouts too. And for what it's worth, I am not completely disappointed with what I'm getting here. Of course, Samsung did not magically figure out how to make it last a week long or so, like a Huawei or an Amazfit smartwatch, although the Watch 7 has lasted me around 30 hours on average on heavy usage. Like using GPS tracking at least for 1 hour every day and measuring everything it can at all times, including my heart rate, my stress levels, while I've also enabled blood oxygen monitoring overnight. I know that's definitely not too impressive, but let me remind you that I am wearing the smaller 40mm version of the Watch 7, so if I decide to go with the 44mm model instead, that should comfortably last you a day and a half at the minimum. As for the charging speed, it still takes about an hour and a half for a complete refill. However, the weird thing about the Watch 7 is it no longer supports reverse wireless charging. More on that in just a minute, but I don't think it's that big of a deal honestly, since the whole process always felt a bit finicky and just not that efficient to me. Okay, let's talk about the software side of things now, and like always, Samsung smartwatches are the first to taste the latest version of Wear OS. This year, the new Wear OS 5 update is mostly centered around under-the-hood optimizations like the power efficiency thing I mentioned a while ago instead of some fresh or fancy features. First of all, it's got an entirely new typeface across the system UI that looks a lot more modern. The system animations feel a lot more fluid, and there are a few watch faces and a few redesigned widgets to go along with it as well. Likewise, the Watch 7 also has the same double tap feature as the new Apple smartwatches that Samsung likes to call double pinch. It only works in a handful of apps right now, and it works fine, like when I've got to accept an incoming call or pause a stopwatch. So yeah, the Watch 7 software experience is pretty much as good as it gets. I have come across a couple of bugs here and there, like how the notification does not show up properly sometimes, but I am sure Samsung will sort it out with a future update. And talking about updates, there are 4 years of updates to look forward to with this guy. Anyway, there's actually a good reason why Samsung chose not to include wireless charging on its new models. That's because the Galaxy Watch 7 finally uses a next-gen health sensor, which apparently messes up the shape of the back glass to support wireless power sharing. But then again, I am now getting better health reading thanks to the updated sensor, so I don't mind at all. The second-gen bioactive sensor on this guy has a whole bunch of new colorful LEDs that are supposed to increase the accuracy of literally everything. Heart rate, stress, sleep, blood oxygen levels, the whole 9 yards. I didn't have that many complaints about the heart rate measurement on a Samsung smartwatch during idle conditions before. Although I always wish they could have been a little bit more consistent during workouts. And yes, that's exactly what you get here. I am not someone who works out a lot, but I do go on occasional walks, runs, hikes, and play table tennis to keep myself active. And when I recorded those on my Watch 7, I've been getting noticeably better heart rate readings with it, especially when I'm hitting the anaerobic heart rate zone. There was this one time when the watch failed to log my heart rate mid-workout. Maybe I was wearing it a bit too loose, I don't remember, but other than that, I have found the Galaxy Watch 7 to be an excellent fitness tracker. I just wish I could say the same about its location tracking though. I had really big hopes for the Watch 7 in this matter, since this is Samsung's first ever smartwatch with dual frequency GPS, but take a look for yourself. The reading shows that I literally walk through buildings. So despite the use of dual GPS frequency, the Galaxy Watch 7 still struggles to accurately pinpoint my location even when I am walking around a relatively open space outdoors. Anyway, the Watch 7 has a few new features like creating a custom workout routine to include different exercises, and even the ability to race against yourself to monitor and improve your form that you might find interesting. Whereas that new bioactive sensor also enables something called an AGE's index. Now, without getting too much into detail, the advanced glycation end products AGE's index can be a good indicator of your overall metabolic health and biological aging process. It can predict the risk of chronic illness like diabetes, heart attack, and stroke. But that turned out to be the biggest nothing burger on the Watch 7 for me. Talk about expectations versus reality. Just look at this. I don't even know what to make of all this because Samsung doesn't really give me any particularly useful data to work with. Am I doing better? Am I doing worse? I can't really tell. This is still labeled as an experimental feature for now, so I hope Samsung figures out a way to make it more helpful in the coming days. But I've got to say, the new energy score on the Watch 7 has been a fantastic way to start my day. It's almost exactly like daily readiness score on Fitbit and Pixel smartwatches. What it does is basically score my sleeping habit and my workout activity of the previous day on a scale between 0 and 100 to quickly visualize how ready I am for the day and how I should plan my workouts for maximum efficiency. Now, talking about sleeping habits, the Galaxy Watch 7 is also capable of detecting signs of sleep apnea now, alongside other features like ECG measurement and irregular heart rhythm notifications. Okay, so apart from the performance upgrades and all the health and fitness tracking features, the Galaxy Watch 7 is also a well-crafted, fine-looking smartwatch. I know it does not look all that different from last year's Watch 6, but it's still every bit as durable as you would expect, thanks to the stainless steel frame, a sapphire crystal glass protecting the display, and all the durability certifications that you could possibly imagine. The only way this guy appears a bit different from last year's Watch 6 is the color options and the band styles. The Watch 7 now comes in silver, green and cream colorways, whereas its default strap choices also feel quite thought out if you ask me. Like this sport band that I have been rocking with this subtle stitching next to the lug that adds so much character, so much animation to the watch. As for the display, I don't think I even need to talk about how insanely good Samsung's display game is, right? The Watch 7 does not have a physical bezel that I love so much, but this display is bright, it's responsive, vibrant, so not many complaints honestly. So overall, there's just no other way to say it. All in all, the Samsung Galaxy Watch 7 is a very impressive smartwatch. I've never said this about Samsung's past few generations of Galaxy watches, but this thing just hits different. From the upgraded health sensor to all the health and fitness tracking features and the much needed performance boost itself, the Watch 7 finally feels like a no-compromise Samsung smartwatch that you and I deserve. Of course, it's far from perfect though. The Watch 7 still does not have a multi-day battery like I'd want, and a couple of its perks like dual band GPS and AGE's index might need a little bit of fine-tuning as well. Not to forget, a bunch of the new features that Samsung has been advertising for the Watch 7 will eventually arrive in older Samsung Galaxy watches too, including the 3-year-old Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 lineup, which is currently available for a fraction of what this one costs. But still, if you're in the market for a new Wear OS smartwatch, or if you've been meaning to upgrade from a slower and laggy Watch 4 or Watch 5, this is easily one of the best options out there, especially to those with a Samsung phone, because that's when you get to enjoy all that the Samsung Galaxy Watch 7 has to offer. So everybody, that was all for my full review of the all-new Samsung Galaxy Watch 7. Do let me know in the comments if you would like to watch the review of the Watch Ultra as well. Saying this, I'm Pratima and I will be back with the next review very soon.